All right, so I'm gonna make the video now. This video was endless, so I'm gonna chop this thing up. It's gonna have a little bit of how to string guitars. It's gonna be also my journey from a 6-string kind of setup as a baritone to playing my friend's 8-string to buying a 7-string, and then writing this cool song that I love this tune, and then realizing like the 7-string wasn't gonna work. The guitar had problems, to trying to get a 6-string to be back to a baritone, to buying a baritone.
Now tonight we are so excited to introduce our first guest. He's been on our show before and he's here again to lend his expertise. Please welcome celebrity vocal coach James Lugo.
This is actually a really cool cheapy guitar that plays great, and it's got nice Duncans, and it's tappable. It's got a custom in the bridge, a 59 in the neck. So I returned the 7-string, the Mark Holcomb, the PRS 7-string. It was a cool guitar. It needed it was just not it needed like a work, and I just gave up. And I've played every 7-string in town, man. I played a bunch of Schecters today and ESPs, and I played Ibanez's and Kramer's and Jackson's and BC Rich's, and I don't know, man. They all kind of stink, man. The one of the ESPs was nice, but it would have needed like a complete fret dressing. It was just like from the factory. It was like all like all buzzy. So you know what? I just said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it real quick. I'm going to take the low 6 strings of a 7-string, put it on this guitar, tune it B to B, and call it a day. All right, so this is a set of regular Slinkies, 7-string, so it's 10 through 56. 56 is most likely going to be too thin for the top here because of the scale length, and also I'm going to have it in standard tuning, but I'm going to go drop A. So, but I've got some 58s and some 60s, and I think I may even have a 62 in the loosies. But let's throw it all on. We're going to start right from the 56. I'm going to cut these. These were 11s in E flat. But before I put 11s in E flat, or before I did something with this guitar, this is how I had it set up. I had it with the low, but I was using the power Slinkies, which were a little bit thicker, but we're going to just see how it works. And I've got a bunch of loosies. There's one string in particular that's a little wonky. I don't know, this may or may not work. I'm over it, man. I got that PRS Mark Holcomb, and it is really a nice guitar, don't get me wrong. But there was just some things going on with it, and I sunk money into it. I had my buddy work on it and, shim the nut and fix the nut and do this and do that. And, I don't know, at the end of the day, it was just, I don't know, it was just flubby and just not happening. So, yeah. I'll show you how I do this too. This is a real, I grew up as a guitar repair. Actually, I grew up as an assistant to a really great guitar repair guy in Fort Lauderdale. And then when I moved, and then I worked at the music store, Captain's, and I fixed guitars there. And I was good. I was good at setting up, and I could do neck adjustments and install pickups and pots, kind of. I wasn't the best solderer, but we could get it done. And then when I went to LA, I worked on the Strip for years, right on Sunset, as a guitar repair guy. But again, not like some not some crazy luthier refretting and binding and Martins, not that guy. But so what I do is I go through it like this. I don't know if you can see it. Let me look. Yeah, you can see it. So I always come from the inside. This is the way Rick taught me. He was from Kramer. And then you put that 45-degree angle bend. There's a couple of reasons. It catches and locks it, and it also helps it to not unravel on the interior when you clip it. Go under and then over. And there it is. And that's like literally locked. The more you tighten it, the more you pull on it, the tighter it locks. So yeah, like once your guitar is set up and it's in tune and stretched out, this is to me, this is the ultimate. So this is E, right? All right. You know, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with the 7-string thing. And it's cool, don't get me wrong. But, so the Mark Holcomb was my favorite of everything I played. And I played probably about 13 or 14 of them. I played a bunch of ESPs and Schecters today. And well, today I played everything at Guitar Center, and then I went to my buddy's place, and he had a bunch of them, and everything had problems. Right out of the factory. And I'm not like some picky dude, so remember. So you got to kind of get I like to get the hole kind of here. Can't see anything. Then you come from the interior. Come on, Jay. You're showing them. I see, I can't see. There you go. I usually like leave about that much. You know, you can leave less or more, but this, I like a little bit of downward pressure off that nut because it makes it sound like more sharp, like it gives it a better edge. And always make sure it's coming down. So you see how my thumb is here? It's pushing it down, but keeping it tense. And not running it through the nut because it wears on the nut over time. And I'm just keeping it. I'm definitely a one string at a time guy. I do not like taking all the strings off unless I absolutely have to, because you can really kind of mess up the. You can mess up the. Yeah. I can't see. You can mess up the. The neck adjustment, because remember you've got we've got a truss rod that's pulling the neck back that way. You got strings that are pulling the neck this way, and it's that relationship between those two pressures that levels where the neck is. Well, if you take those strings off, sometimes that truss rod will turn a little bit and it'll go like that. Then when you put strings on it, the action's so flat because now you've lost all of your relief on the neck. So yeah, so here now is the G is a 26 and it's wound, but we're not worried about this. Well, maybe we're worried about it. So again, I'm coming from the inside, right? Leave about that much. Give that 45-degree bend. That locks it in place and it keeps that winding from unwinding in the midst. In the midst. Wow. Come on, Jay. I am so fast at this when I get on a roll. I used to work for this guy in Fort Lauderdale, Rick Atheris. And we used to do these things called guitar check. And it was $9.99, and you got a restring. You had to buy the strings. You got a restring, a action set, neck adjustment, intonation. And we would go to these, they put out flyers, right? This was like early 80s, like 80, I don't know, 82, 83. I was about 16 when I was doing this with Rick, 17. And he was the dude, and I was the guy behind the guy. And I was the official stringer. And there would be, we would have lines outside of these music stores. People would bring, at one point, I think we also gave it like a man, like the most, you'd have no more than 2 or 3 guitars, because people would show up with like 10 guitars. And then I would, so again, coming through the middle, even though it's wound, or not wound, I do a 45-degree bend. It locks it in place under and over. And then remember, you want to bring it from below because you want it to wind down underneath. You want the windings going down because that's going to give that downward pressure to the nut, which is going to give a better tone. If the string comes too straight off the nut to the peg, it'll kind of fret out, or it'll rattle. And I remember on some of those weekends we would do it like Saturday. It was always Saturday. And he would not be able to get everything done because he would be talking to the people, and then they'd be like, oh, you know what, I think or he'd be saying, hey, you really need a fret job, or let's, they'd be like, thinking about putting new pickups in it. So it turned into like a big thing. So he would end up taking like 30, 40 guitars home and then do them that following week. But I would usually, for the most part, string everything because, my job was obviously not as, but I would string 100 guitars in a day, and I had the drill bit with the peg winder, and, I had the whole setup for it. And, it was really, this is really important that this comes down. This E string needs, really should have even done more than that, but that's fine. Or it's B string. Oh, and there it is. She is strung. Sure it's in the thing here. And what was crazy was I was stringing so much that I would be stringing and pulling. I don't know if you can see it, but I'd be pulling, and I literally could kind of, sometimes almost perfectly tune a guitar just by feeling the tension, like of tens or whatever. You get real good at that. Okay, so it was like 50 minutes of me trying to get this guitar. I'm going to give you the 30-second synopsis. I couldn't get the guitar jiving as a baritone, kind of basically using those strings. It came stock with 56, which was a B string, which was too loose. I went to 60, that was better, but there was this weird overtone. And then I went to 50. Finally, I just said, that's it. It's not going to work. It just didn't jive. So I ended up restringing that with 11s back in E flat, and all normalcy has been returned in Luco land. After like weeks and weeks of going through 7 strings and playing my buddy's 8, which was cool, I just ended up I returned the 7 string I got. It was a cool guitar, but this is more me. This is a Gretsch baritone, and this is the new song. This is the next song I'll be recording of my own stuff. Just bear with me. It's very, very intense to play this thing, but I'm gonna get good at it. I'll play it every day. And it's drop A. So the song was originally called When 6 Was 7, kind of like the Hendrix thing, because I wrote it on a 7-string. Well, I changed it. Now it's called When 7 Was 6. So that's it. Drop A, right? So it's like B tuning, the drop A. Came up with this one today, the move out, the TA out, the turnaround. It's happening. I love this thing.